Hello, 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 and welcome back to Gaming Knuckleheads Talk, the one show that nobody asked for.
You mean a side review?
My name is Gear, and we have with us, sorry everybody, just checking my phone to make sure we're live, because as you know, from the top left, top right, we use Restream for this. I've been binge watching too much One Piece. I have the same sense of direction as Luffy right now. And today we have on our show one Matt and one Brent.
Hey.
Hello, and I think you mean Zoro, not Luffy.
No, maybe, because, you know, like, Luffy still does tend to get turned around.
True.
Yeah. Well, today we got 3 topics for you, and first up, we're going to discuss remakes. In particular, are they worth it? How well done are they? And do they hold up to the original? And anything else we have to say on the subject.
Mm-hmm.
Take it away, Brent.
Okay, well, I think I'll start off with the first question. Are they worth it? Personally, I think they are, only if they fall under one specific sort of category. If the game that they're remaking is so old that getting your hands on the physical is very hard to come by.
Wait,
like, you know, yeah.
3-in-1.
Not what I was referring to. I'm more referring to, like, say something.
How much GameCube games go for?
Yeah, but you get what I'm trying to say is that if it's like, you know, old enough to the point where it's like finding a physical copy is either almost impossible, or if you did, you'd have to like basically sell your home in order to get one. Like, for example, a perfect example, Super Mario RPG is being remade. And, like, that game's kind of hard to come by. I mean, you could probably get it on, like, say, a virtual console or something like that, but still.
Could get it on virtual console if virtual console was still active.
Yeah, but that's another reason why I'm bringing it is that, like, you can have it, but only if the service is still available.
Yeah.
So a remake allows not only that to be brought to there, but say someone knows about it but can't get access to it. This allows a new generation to actually try it.
Yeah,
what about you guys?
Because I mean, like, I got my copy of Super Mario RPG for $40 at a retro gaming store, but it tends to go for more. Like, I've seen stores up in Tampa where it goes for $128 minimum, and it can go upwards of even more on online. So if I hadn't had access to that $40 copy, I would definitely choose the $60 remake over spending an arm and a leg on a So yeah, I definitely think that that remakes are worth it. I mean, with games that are like more recent, it has to be something really special though, like Fantasy Life, for example. I'm happy that we're getting if the original 3DS game, one generation earlier, was remade on the Switch. Yeah. Yeah. As for are they well done, I think it depends on the game. Like Brent and I played the Resident Evil remake, Resident Evil 4 remake with our friend Stefan. Wasn't it the beginning of June? Wasn't it the beginning of June? Yeah, first beginning of June. And it is really well done. I mean, first off, Brent, in the original Resident Evil 4, what happens when Ashley is trying to stealth away and sees an enemy sneaking up on Leon?
She usually gets captured like right away.
Yeah.
Like, and stands around like a dumbass.
Leon, behind you!
And that too.
And how is she in the remake?
Knows to stay the fuck out of the way and stay quiet.
They really improved the AI, and the visuals are great. You can harpoon enemies from the shore. Like, you're in the boat. The enemies are chasing you in the dock. As long as you haven't gotten the loading screen onto the boat map, as long as you're still at the dock and pulling away, you can harpoon the enemies. Like, Capcom put a lot of love and care into bringing the game back to life. Mm-hmm. And so this is one thing that Stefan and I are a little concerned about. I don't know what your take on it is, Brent. What's with the seller's new voice?
Honestly, I don't know. Usually, like, in some cases, it could be because, like, in some cases it's very obvious they couldn't get the original voice actor or someone who sounds close enough, just so they went with something different. Or they could be going with a, like, sort of different design. Personal example, haven't gotten a chance to play it yet, and I've been going through a lot of stuff recently, so playing a horror game definitely isn't my thing. Well, this particular horror game, but Dead Space Remake. Mm-hmm. Some of the people, like, one of the main characters was, like, I'm not going to go into too many spoilers. Anyone who's played knows what I'm talking about. But one of the big characters that's brought back, like from the original, was a pretty old guy, probably around his 50s. They redesigned him to be around his 20s.
Huh.
I don't know the full reason why. I mean, it doesn't take away from the character himself. Like, he's still the same character, just de-aged. Like, aged down.
Can I take a moment to say that we've been dethroned and the new star of the show is currently sitting behind me?
Yeah, I know. Hey, Gizmo.
Gizmo!
Yuki! He has no clue what's going on here.
Yeah, but on the same of a whole, I honestly do agree that on that sort of thing, though there is a bit of a thing that I need to bring up in terms of if they're done good or not. Usually in most cases they are done good, but there can be cases where they're not done appropriately. One particular example, and I'm glad you brought up Resident Evil 4, was I did actually play Resident Evil 2's remake. Stefan got me on that. Very good game. Worth it. And then they made
Resident Evil. I tried playing that and did a shit job.
Well, there was Resident Evil 3. I never played that one. I saw that it does have, like, good graphics, gameplay, and all that stuff. The thing is that it's very, very short to the point where it feels like it was supposed to be a DLC.
I wonder if maybe it wasn't as popular. Like, I feel like more popular titles get more care put into them, while less popular titles, let's just slap a remake on it and do whatever.
Well, again, as I said, like, the issue for me isn't, like, the, like, same amount, like, graphics and gameplay and care went into that. It's just that it's short. Some content feels like it was cut out. And again, it just feels like a DLC. And I'm pretty sure, I can't be confirmed to that, but that feels like more like higher up saying, sell this shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say with 3D All-Stars, just because they just did straight up emulation, no rebuilding from the ground up, no new graphics. All they really did was, like, twist the controls to make them compatible with Switch.
Yeah, usually when I'm talking about remakes, I'm more referring to, like, things that actually feel like,
like All-Stars on the Super Nintendo. Those games were very obviously remakes. And exactly. I know some hardcore fanboys are going to defend 3D All-Stars as, like, oh, it's a remake. It feels more like a port. I mean, I was watching one of the channels I watch, Arlo. He actually showed footage of gameplay. And you could see in, like, the platforming segments of Sunshine, like, the tracks and shit. I don't know if they got patched out. But it's like they didn't even look. They were pretty much just like, all right, run them through the emulator. If they run, put it on the cartridge. And then tweak the controls and slap $60 on
it. Can I bring up something once you're done?
Sure.
We've been waiting for you to chime in.
Well, then there's remakes that go a wholly different route, like Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's not really a remake in the end. It's more like I don't know what they want to do with it.
It seems more to me like I get where you're coming from that. Like, it feels to me, it does feel like a remake, but it's a remake that's being released in parts. Like the first one they released, like
episodic.
Yeah, episodic. Like, I don't remember like how far back the first one was released, but that was like, I never played through it. I did watch people play it, and it's essentially the entirety of the prologue from Final Fantasy VII as one thing. And I think it's just going to be the same thing. Like, prologue is one part. Next part is going to be a certain part. Next part's that.
Yeah.
We're probably going to be too old to play video games once it comes out.
Yeah.
Nonsense. I've heard of people in their 80s who play video games.
Fair. Very fair.
Yeah, I gotta say, in terms of our remakes, like, are they good? Like, how well done are they? I think it depends on the game. It depends on the company and what they want to do with it. Yeah. Like, let's see. If like 3D All Stars is more of a port, then I'd say Resident Evil 3 kind of qualifies as an example of a remake being poorly done, with the obvious exception of things like graphics.
Yeah.
It's like with Sonic Origins, like, a lot of people complained that with Anniversary Mode, with Classic Mode, all they did was take Anniversary Mode and stick it into Classic Mode. Like, rather than emulating the originals in Classic, like, you could never spin dash in the original Sonic the Hedgehog 1. So why can you do it in Classic Mode? Yeah.
Well, I mean, they want to make quality of life changes, I guess.
Yeah. It is a good quality of life change, but I also know that that's going to be a subject of contention to purists and diehards.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they could always make a purist and diehard mode and sell that for DLC, for like free DLC or something.
Yeah, and like what you're saying is also like, I also have an example of that as well, like Gear. Again, I haven't played it fully through there, but I did see that in the Dead Space remake, they did introduce things that were introduced in 2 that weren't in the original. Like, specifically, like, you are able to move freely in zero gravity, as opposed to where you have to look and jump in the original.
Yeah,
that's more like
it's the gamepad control scheme in Star Fox Zero all over again. Dear God.
I plan to play the Dead Space remake at one point.
So do I. It's just with how life's been for me a while, I don't feel like I need to put more paranoia and stress on my body.
I won't say anything.
Not yet.
Yeah, I won't say anything like spoiler-wise and whatnot, and I know it doesn't count as like a remake or anything, but Final Fantasy 16, like, truly amazing on PS5 quality. Like, I've seen a friend of mine play through it, and I gotta say, I'm hoping that future Final Fantasies that get remake treatment, I'm hoping that's kind of the level of standard that Square holds when making the remakes.
Yeah. Like that.
If they bring it out for like the PS5 era, I want it to look as good as 16. Like, if it like, even if it's the original NES game, that's what I want to fucking see. Even if that means, for the first time ever, the NES original is going to get voice acted cutscenes. Like, holy shit, good on you.
Yeah, that would be cool for Final Fantasy VI or something.
Yeah, but like, I feel like that's what they are doing, because again, like, aside from the episodic stuff, for it, Final Fantasy VII's remake looks and plays amazing from what I've seen.
It does. I've played it. I have it. I just need to get a PS5 for the rest. That's the problem.
The final question on the subject is how do remakes compare to the originals? Do they hold up?
Well, from personal experience, I will say that usually the thing that's good with remakes is that, especially if they're made for games that are like very old, from older technology, you can utilize stuff from like you can utilize stuff from later expansions, like again with the Dead Space like thing, and add that into the remake in order to make something that was mostly tedious actually good. And that's another, and that can be done for other things. I mean, honestly, I've played both. I know technically they're just like, I wouldn't know if you would actually call them remakes per se, but I like examples. I played both Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on the 3DS. And as much as I love both of the original games, I have to admit they both had their problems. and the remakes and the 3D versions actually improved on those.
Well, I do know that, and this is really like the Saturn, the N64, and the PlayStation 1. They all had this, but it was the early days of fully polygonal 3D graphics. I gotta say, when I look at games like Super Mario 64 DS or Ocarina of Time 3D, or even the upgraded graphics of the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy, the graphics of the day were shit. The 16-bit era looked better than the original 64-bit era did.
Yeah, I mean, only certain games that were highly stylized, I think, looked good in like the early polygonal era. Like, that weren't like just trying to be like all realistic and everything.
Yeah. I mean, realism, it's not, even though this could be a topic for another day, I'm going to bring it up just on that matter. It's like, Reggie Fils-Aimé once said, the reason that Nintendo does not focus on making a more powerful system is because games need to be fun. I fail to see the correlation between the power of the hardware and the power of the hardware and the whether because one department develops the hardware, a completely different team develops the game. Now, the power of the system can affect how the game can run, yes, but whether or not the game is fun, that's up to the developers. Like, Mario does not need to be hyper-realistic. If Nintendo came swinging out and said, hey guys, next generation console is going to use the same graphical quality that you would expect from the upcoming PlayStation 6, they could still keep the cartoonish graphics of Mario. It'd be perfectly fine. Yeah, it's like graphics, like I've seen people say graphics matter to a degree, but to a degree. They're not a make or break for the game. It's like, oh, well, this game has retro 16-bit graphics. Oh, that's going to make it a bad game. I know it's more 8-bit, but Shovel Knight has something to say about that. Yeah. All right. Oh, let's see if I can get someone I text to poke their head into next topic on the list. Matt, you want to start us off on in-game construction, building things in games. And we're not just talking about Minecraft or Lego either.
No, I mean like things like crafting, like let's see, like in Skyrim or even just like the whole thing where you can create your own levels or
Mario Maker.
Yeah. Just any sort of creation toolkit that you can use to create something in-game.
One of my personal favorites, and I really wish it had taken off, was WarioWare DIY.
I've never played that.
Oh, back at the DS day, it was good. There was like a whole tutorial system on how you could make your own microgames, and then you could actually share them. It was basically like Mario Maker, but for WarioWare microgames.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it even had like the album where you could play each individual game until you died. And it had like a mixed mode where all the games that you downloaded, including your own creations, could be mixed into the game blender. I kind of wish that, like, I get that it was the focus of DIY, but I kind of wish that could have taken off and become a long-term staple.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Because I think there should be more user creation in games, stuff. I feel like that's kind of been lost.
There's a lot of missed potential and stuff that could come back to Mario Maker 2. Like, I have a whole laundry list of various items that I think would be great additions to the game. Hopefully we get a shit ton more than we've been getting when Mario Maker 3 comes around.
Yeah. You know it's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Today I bought a game on the Steam sale that's one reason why I wanted to bring this up was it's called 30XX, and it's like Mega Man. And the thing that's cool about it is comes with its own level maker.
Cool.
Like they just added it in a recent update.
Is it like Mario vs. Donkey Kong, where it's like in the DS game, March of the Minis, you had the base game and then it had like a level creation tool on the side?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't really used the level creation tool yet, but since they just released it, so I'll have to take a look at it after the stream.
Yeah.
But I mean, the game itself has gotten good reviews, so I'm sure the level editor is good too.
Nice. Yeah, as for in-game crafting, like, okay, I'm just gonna say one thing because I have played Scarlet and Violet. People are like, oh, it's really easy to get Pokemon materials to craft TMs. I could never catch a wild Frigibax in Scarlet because it wouldn't show up in the area because it has like a 5% spawn rate. In Violet, I go to that same area. The place is lousy with Frigibax. So which game am I more likely to get the parts from Frigibax in its evolutionary line? Like, the more common the Pokemon, the easier it is to gather the crafting materials, and the rarer the Pokemon, you gotta strike while the iron's hot. When that 5% spawn rate is appearing on the map, you go in, and I've actually noticed I can't remember, I'd have to play through again. I think you get more crafting materials when you capture the Pokemon as opposed to knocking it out. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and a lot of people say that the crafting system was done better in Legends Arceus. Now, I played that too, and it is good. The only thing that I really hate is, like, here's your bag space. Excuse me, you want how much to increase my bag space at one space at a time? We could do a whole segment on which is worse. The amount of money to max out your bag slots or the number of Koroks you have to catch in Breath of the Wild.
Oh, God, do not even start me on that.
Around Korok, because at least it's free,
Yeah.
You like, you can get like 900 million, 999, like, there's a limited amount of money you can get before your count maxes out. And you start off in the thousands, and to get your bag maxed out, you need more than the maximum allotted amount of money. Because eventually you're going to be paying millions of Poké Dollars at a time for one single slot in your bag to be added. Because it's like one slot per payment.
That's really I don't know what to say to that, but it's probably not good.
I would rather hunt Koroks because at least the only thing I'm losing is hours to Korok.
Yeah.
But it's like from Nintendo's standpoint, I feel like Breath of the Wild has started like crafting in Nintendo games.
Yeah, and they're continuing that in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, because like before that, how many Nintendo and or second-party IPs owned by Nintendo had a crafting system where you could craft items?
Not really a whole lot.
Honestly, I can't name any off the top of my head. So if there are some, they're not ones that I've played.
Yeah. I mean, they could be like in an RPG or something that Nintendo had, but I'm not aware of any.
A part of me wants to say maybe the Mana series, but then I remember, like, one, I played a couple of the Mana games, and two, that's Square Enix to begin with.
Yeah, I got the...
Would Cookie and Paper Mario count?
Kinda, yeah.
But you take two or three ingredients, you give them to Tasty, and she whips it together herself. So you're not crafting yourself, but you're providing the materials.
I mean, yeah, but like, I definitely feel like that's bare bones sort of thing. Like some of the stuff you can do in other games nowadays are bigger than that. But you're not wrong here. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, I did want to speak about one game that had a super advanced crafting system. Was it's getting a remake, and it was announced during the Nintendo Direct. Star Ocean 2.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and like it's the original PlayStation game. You could craft like game-breaking weapons, and it wouldn't be that hard. Like, you could just like
this is why
I think you
DMs
just
hate
have to farm
artificers
some
in
stuff
D&D.
and
This is why DMs hate artificers in D&D. The ones who create overpowered stuff with the class obviously took inspiration from Star Ocean 2.
But yeah, the crafting system is supposed to be really good in that, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, in terms of RPGs coming, I'm actually looking forward to Silent Hope. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it does look really cool.
I gotta double check if it's physical, if it's digital only or not. But if it's physical, I got time to buy it.
Who makes it? Square Enix?
Let me double check really quick. Silent.
Probably because if it's Square Enix, they'll probably have a release, a physical release. Unless it's
I'm
like
actually on Nintendo's page right now. Releasing in 2023. Yeah, we know. There's a new single system. Release date October 3rd. It's by Xseed and Marvelous Games.
Okay, then.
And normally on Nintendo's website, I'm gonna pull up like Super Mario Brothers Wonder for comparison.
Yeah.
But normally in the games catalog, if there's a physical copy, it's like click here to buy from this retailer.
Yeah.
Fuck it, I'll pull up Tears of the Kingdom. Digital, physical. Yeah, so on Tears of the Kingdom's page, it's like here's where you can buy it digital, you can buy it physical. And on Silent Hope, it only says you can buy it digital. So I think Silent Hope is going to be digital exclusive.
Yeah.
But I actually think it has a crafting system in it.
Yeah.
I'll definitely check the trailer after the stream.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I think, no, I can't think of any other crafting sort of games, but I know that there's lots out there.
Oh, going back to remakes for a second, I just thought of something. Speaking of the Nintendo Direct,
go ahead.
How often are remakes wanted, and how often are the games not beloved enough that nobody really cares? Because a certain game was announced for being remade on the Switch, and I was like, why? I know there's a subset of people who like it, but I think the vast majority of people, because it's Luigi's Mansion 2. And Kensuke Tanabe, I think that's the guy who did Luigi's Mansion 3. Was it Tanabe?
Yeah.
Said the reason that they took the direction that they took with Luigi's Mansion 3 was because of the negative feedback received from Luigi's Mansion 2. It's like, is Nintendo doing this just to resell Luigi's Mansion 2? Or do they feel that the game is popular enough, people actually like it, that people actually want it? Because I got the 3DS remake of Luigi's Mansion. I would double dip if that came to the Switch over Luigi's Mansion 2.
I think one of the reasons why Luigi's Mansion 2 was a bit on the unpopular side, at least for my personal opinion, was that unlike 1 and 3, where you're actually in an area and exploring, going through all these places, you're constantly going in through to the same place on different missions for 2.
Yeah, I was not too fond of the ranking system.
Yeah, exactly.
And the mission system as a whole. I like more of like, here's a mansion, explore it. As you unlock access to new areas and gain new abilities, you'll unlock more of the mansion.
Exactly. That's where I think it is. And honestly, I don't know. Maybe they will do something new for that. Maybe they'll just release it as it was for the 3DS.
Because the mansions were nice.
And the mansions weren't a problem. It's just the missions aspect of it is.
But if they want to do a remake, they probably got to remake it the way it was. Like, if they get rid of the mission system, is it really a remake?
Mm-hmm.
I will say that the World Ends With You Final Remix, I feel that was a remake that was definitely wanted. Because, like, it was 10 years old at the time it came out. So you kind of got to say, $50, what the hell, Square, But I played the original game on the DS.
Yeah, so did I.
I only made it to the 3rd day of the first week of the game before I fell in love. I was like, oh my God, this game is fucking awesome. It just took the first 3 chapters of the game, and I was hooked. So I double dipped when Final Remix came out, and yeah. I would triple dip if I had $18 just lying around to play the game on my phone too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been hearing rumors of a Final Fantasy Tactics remake, so.
Oh.
Yeah, should be interesting.
I wonder if that was in the Nintendo Direct and I just skimmed over it.
No, there's just been rumors, that's all.
We got the Emperor's New Clothes, the game. Did either of you see the Penny's Big Break trailer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why the Emperor has no clothes. Yeah. A magic yo-yo did it. All right. Well, we do have one other topic, and then from there we can revisit other topics, or maybe just do some random gaming chatter to pad out the time. But let's settle a decades-old debate: consoles versus handhelds.
I mean, we know what the obvious one is, but both of them kind of have like sort of benefits to each other on certain areas. Like handhelds, obviously, you can take them wherever you want to go. You could do those sort of things with them.
Yeah.
The thing about with consoles is that they usually tend to have like more tech and graphics and stuff like that in there than handhelds usually do. Like if you compare the Switch to, say, and yes, the Switch I consider a handheld, even though it is technically a console. So, like, say I won't compare it to the PS5 and the new Xbox, considering those are kind of the newer ones, but I will compare it to the PS4 and the Xbox One. Comparing to those two, definitely the other two have a few more superior like tech in them.
Yeah.
But in terms of actual gaming and having fun, handheld I feel is the way to go.
Yeah.
Only way I would say that it's not good is when there's online related games.
That's my big issue with like games that are like online exclusive. And I don't mean like Splatoon 2 and 3 have offline modes or just minor. I mean like a full-on game. Like, what is Dead by Daylight doing on the Switch besides Nintendo wanting to get every third-party game under the sun onto it? Like, if I want to play Dragon Ball The Breakers, I can play it at home. No problem. But if there's no one online to play with, there still isn't even an offline mode with bots. So what's it doing? What's Dragon Ball The Breakers doing on the Switch for that matter? Like, why am I going to drop money on the game if I have to be sitting in a building connected to the internet just to play it? As for the Switch technically being a console, my thoughts on that are thus. If the Switch is a console, then that means that the 3DS is a console. That means that the Game Boy is a console. Because the Switch itself is just a tablet. A handheld tablet you can take around with you, and you don't need to... In my opinion, a console can be either a colloquial term for gaming hardware in general, but it can also mean, on one hand, it means gaming hardware in general. On the other hand, a home console means you have to hook it up to a TV to play it. The dock is just a piece of plastic with wiring and circuitry inside it to allow the Switch to communicate with the TV. So Well, you would be correct in saying it's a hybrid of both a handheld and a home console. I think it is a handheld first and a home console second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like that's my take on the but yeah. So it's like, what is an online exclusive game doing on my handheld system?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm an advocate of gaming on the go. Like, even though the first video game I ever played was Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo, it was my childhood friend's Super Nintendo. The first console I ever owned was the original Game Boy. And I love the fact that I could literally be on an airplane, that I could literally be waiting at the doctor's office. Or if I was a bully magnet as a kid, so outside of like what little friends I had, there was nobody to play with in the playground. I like that I could sit at the playground while my sister played. I could just play Super Mario Land 2 or Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow on the park bench.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree with Brent. Like, in terms of power and technical specs, home consoles definitely win. But gaming in general, I gotta say, handheld. Should I answer this potential spam and just continue the live stream and confuse the fuck out of the person who does the robocall?
You decide, man. But I've got something to say that I hope happens in the future. One day, we won't even need to have like the console versus handhelds, because basically you'll be having the two for a combined. Pros of both.
Yeah, because like the Switch already does that, and I think that hybridization should be the future. Like, I'm gonna say this because I probably won't get a chance to say it otherwise. Anyone who says, "Oh, here's the latest news on the next generation, the Nintendo Switch 2," you're spreading misinformation. Nintendo has not confirmed what the new system will be. So it's like, I hope that it's a Nintendo Switch 2. I hope that they go the route that Sony and Microsoft have gone, and that they will officially be, hey, from now on, we're doing it hybrid, because I mean, with like the Steam Deck, for example, you got the power of a laptop, but in tablet form with controllers.
Yeah.
And Sony and Microsoft have both shown they have the chops to make powerful tech. The question is, can they translate it into a handheld device?
Well, I mean, Sony did make the Vita and PSP.
Yeah.
But they weren't as obviously good sellers as the...
Like, they were more powerful than the 3DS and the DS.
Yeah.
But they were not as powerful as Sony's home consoles, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I mean, they still have
some... to be as powerful as a home console, but if hybridization is the future, Nintendo can keep doing what they're doing, using slightly more powerful tech every generation. Sony and Microsoft have got to step up, and more than likely, they're going to have to be working to compete with Valve, basically. And let's face it, as much as I love me a good Nintendo system, I will openly admit that the PC Master Race has all of us console and handheld gamers beat. Well, what's your preference, Matt, on console versus handheld? What's your preference?
Well, I'm kind of torn between them because, like, my first console handheld was the DS, and the original DS, and
the fat
DS. I really liked it, like a whole lot. But my first console was the NES, so I played it nonstop a lot of times. So, and I played it with my friends and everything. So to me, it was just, couldn't be beat either. So it's just, I'm kind of torn.
Yeah.
And like, I know a lot of people dismiss the Nintendo 64 because of its controller and the graphics and everything, but I had so much fun with like Star Fox 64, 4 players, and GoldenEye, and all those.
That Weasel minigame in Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah.
Which I totally want to get some video footage of on the channel.
Yeah, like, I mean, all those games that people loved, I mean, I loved them too, so.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun with my friends, despite the graphics and controller and everything, which I didn't even like the controller, but it was still.
And I know a big thing that a lot of people didn't like about the N64 as well is Nintendo was like, yeah, we don't want to go to discs like everyone else. We want to keep up with the cartridges.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of a mistake, I think, but you live and learn.
Yeah. I mean, they did eventually go disc up until the Switch, obviously, but
Yeah, but I mean, at this point, since the Switch is also online, then it's not really a huge deal whether it's on cartridges or disc, really.
Well, there's a bonus topic right there to discuss. Because I have Mario Party 6, and it likes to give me a disc reader because I bought it used.
Yeah.
So that really brings up a really interesting point when it comes to. I want to say this qualifies a little bit more to like older handhelds and just like the home console medium in general.
Mm-hmm.
Disc damage versus blowing into your cartridge, because Nintendo was always like, and Sega back in the day, like, oh, you should never blow into your cartridges, but that's the only way to get them to read again.
Yeah.
Well, with the disc, if you play on the disc too much, the disc starts to get damaged and no longer plays.
Yeah.
Both are pushing. Both are making good arguments for an all-digital future where physical medium is gone.
Yeah.
But as long as physical medium is still around, and it's not a game card like the Switch, when it comes to a traditional cartridge versus a disc,
CD. Yeah,
which is better and more prone to last longer,
Yeah. Well, I think it depends on how they construct the cartridge versus the CD. Yep. Like if it's a small CD like the GameCube, it's more likely to end up with errors because there's a smaller surface on the disc itself versus a regular CD, and on the carts, if they're like the NES or Game Boy cartridges, the only problem with those is like the battery leakage, or not battery leakage, but just like the battery
dying.
Yeah. The battery dying.
That's something that I've always wished they could have done back in the day. Like this day, you don't need a battery to retain your save. I kind of wish that they had like chips that could have done that back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did in Japan with the Famicom disk system, but that never really, like, you could save. I think you could save on different diskettes and stuff. But that never made it outside of Japan, so that was.
Which is a shame because it would have served Western gamers well.
Yeah.
Like the next time my Pokemon Gold battery dies, I'm probably not even going to bother replacing it because of how fast it dies.
Oh wow!
I'll just play the Virtual Console version on my 3DS and call it a day. Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing, I mean, I really dislike an all-digital feature because then, it takes power out of the hands of the gamers.
Yeah.
And puts it just into the power of the companies.
I think to avoid an all-digital future, one thing that we need to do is we need to make the physical medium much easier to run long-term without risk of degradation or damage. Like you can see in my Switch games, all up on the wall.
Yeah.
Even if there was a generic box with no original label, this I never understood why people just throw away the box. Cardboard boxes back in the day I could understand, but there's websites now where you can buy for $10 a pop hard plastic like this to store your old cartridges. But it's this is the only way to store a gaming collection. I feel like these cartridges are going to last a long time because instead of having them like out and loose or putting them into like just like a slipcase or something, I put them into the slipcase and the carrying case when I travel, but at home for storage, like I never understood why people don't keep their original boxes. And I will admit I'm guilty of, if I want to say store, if I want to like keep an older game box in case I rebuy the game, I will just sell the cartridge itself.
Yeah.
But I'm careful to make sure that it's brought to the store in good condition, you know? And if it's a travesty like Sonic Colors Ultimate, then I know there's no way in hell I'm going to rebuy it. Some lucky schmuck's getting the game with its original box. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all the time we have for tonight. We will see you all next week at 8 p.m. on Thursday. Assuming that everybody's back in town from their 4th of July holiday.
Oh, I definitely should, barring, like, again, I'm planning to get back on Wednesday, so should be back, but if anything happens, I will let everyone know. Worst comes to worst, maybe I might be, if I'm stuck up, say, past, like, on Thursday, I might still be able to join on, just not from here.
Yeah. We'll figure it out, though. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will see you all next week, and don't forget to give us your thoughts on tonight's topics in the comments below. And well, we do have ideas for topics. If anybody has a topic submission they'd like us to cover, let us know what it is. Let us know how you'd like to be credited, like you want to go by your YouTube handle, etc. And we will see you all next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
See ya.